The Democratic National Committee is rushing to overhaul its data storage operation ahead of the 2020 presidential election.
The party has used a system called Vertica to store crucial voter information since 2011, but after a series of failures and a lost presidential election, the DNC is preparing to advance its data sharing capabilities. A story published today for Wired magazine goes inside the party's efforts. Wired senior writer and CBS contributor Issie Lapowsky wrote that story, and she is joining us now. Good to see you, Issie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So when we talk about the DNC's data storage capabilities, what kind of information is being stored?
Oh, everything you can imagine. The entire voter file from across the country. This is every voter and a record of whether they voted in the past. It's also all of the field data that the people who knock on your doors are collecting, the people who call you are collecting, and it's all the commercial data that these campaigns have collected. All the information on, what kind of car you drive and other things that might tell a campaign, who you are, maybe your gender, your economic status. All of that is funneled into this data warehouse. And in the past, they had set up this warehouse that really wasn't capable of holding all of that data or withstanding the pull on it from data analysts across the country.
So what specifically, you're talking about Vertica, I guess. What specifically was the problem with Vertica?
Well, Vertica really predated a lot of the cloud-based systems that we hear about today. The systems that can sort of expand to, unthinkable sizes. The Vertica system required the DNC to actually set up its own hardware, its own servers. And these servers just weren't made for the quantity of data that we see in the year 2018. Remember, this was all set up in 2011 for the Obama campaign when data-driven campaigning was still a sort of novel idea. Today, it's table stakes, and campaigns up and down the ballot are trying to pull and push a lot of data into this system, and it just wasn't working. It would shut down. The days before the election, when everybody from the national campaigns to the small down ballot campaigns are trying to pull that data, I heard stories about it shutting down for 3 days at a time sometimes. And this was just a really big waste of resources that a lot of Democratic candidates feel handicapped them in 2016.
So what are Democrats hoping the new data warehouse is going to be able to do that Vertica couldn't do?
Well, for starters, they'll be able to use it at crunch time when they need it. And that is sort of first and foremost. They need a stable database that they actually can look at to query who should we be targeting, who's voting early, all those kinds of crucial questions in the days before a campaign. But beyond that, because it's a more stable database, they hope that they can do more with, for instance, digital data. This hasn't been something that traditionally Democrats have been great at doing. They look at the voter file, they look at door knocks, they look at phone calls, but think about all the rich data that's coming out from Facebook and Twitter and what you can learn about how people are behaving online. Democrats and Republicans, frankly, are trying to figure out what it all means. And so with a more stable database, the Democrats hope that they can funnel a lot more of that data in there. There are also new technologies like text-based systems, and Democrats want to figure out a way to really utilize that new data that they're getting in.
So then in 2016, was the Trump campaign just better at this, better at organizing data, and did that give them an edge?
Well, in 2016, the Trump campaign had something that the Democrats did not have yet, and that was something called a data exchange. So there are laws in this country that prevent a campaign and outside groups from coordinating. That means they can't share their data, they can't share information about whose door they're knocking on and what they're learning about those people. But the GOP created something called a data trust, which was an outside organization that basically allowed them to circumvent these federal regulations and allowed a lot of different organizations to coordinate and to share their data so that other people could purchase it. The Democrats are now setting up something similar. It's been a little controversial within the party because a lot of state party officials didn't want to relinquish their data. This is a really precious resource for them, but they finally have agreed that this is for the good of the party. So the Democrats are setting up this data exchange. It'll be headed up by Howard Dean, and the question is, what kind of progress are they making? And we really don't know a lot about that just yet.
So, Issie, you also write about how this new system will allow data sharing throughout the party. So how could that help local, state, and some national campaigns?
So think about how much information a presidential campaign is collecting. Now think about the resources that a state legislative campaign has access to. There's a big difference there. And if there is something like a data exchange that enables a small down ballot campaign to get access to all of the rich information that super PACs and much larger, better resourced national campaigns have access to, they're in a much better position.
All right, really fascinating reporting. Issie, as always, it's great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.